my name is Hex, and save me! You may have all been wondering where I've been. Actually, scratch that. Scratch the may. I know for a fact you guys have been wondering where I've been, because it's all over my comments. Wondering where the 10K special is. Whoops. Wondering what the hell this upload was. My bad. Wondering where my birthday special is. Wondering where the hell Hex is. Well, this is where I've been. Hell incarnate. Let me explain. 2 months ago, me and my friends decided to do a Minecraft server. The thing is, we didn't do vanilla Minecraft. We decided it was time to dip our toes into the wonderful world of modded Minecraft. Well, maybe not all wonderful. We chose a mod pack called Prominence. It's got 383 mods inside of this thing. And at first, it was really exciting.
Lignite coal.
Ligma balls?
No one knew what they were doing. There were so many crafting recipes that were completely foreign to us, and we spawned on a cliff where you could die instantly.
Insanity.
I need to get off this stupid island, bro. I'm f***ing losing my mind on this.
I messed around a bit and eventually logged off because I had work in the morning. I came back the next day to all of my friends being better than me. Surprise, surprise, they played all night. I messed around a little bit more, found one of my friend's civilizations, lived with him for a little bit, and that's when I discovered that this mod pack had industrialization.
I'm sorry. I found this. What do you guys think that looks like?
Hell nah, no way.
How do I craft
What the chest
this?
doing with Task Manager?
Holy shit, I need so much shit to make it. Oh my god. Oh my god. I don't even know where I get a superconductor ingot, but goddamn. Yeah, you need a lot of shit to even remotely think about making that thing.
I don't know why, but at the time, I really wanted to dip my toes into it.
What the f is that? Is that crying obsidian? What are you, a hydrogen jellyfish? Oh, you hurt me? You bitch.
You died.
What? Oh, he hit it. The same thing I was.
Did you hit the hydrogen jellyfish? Chat, I think he's dead.
How was I supposed to know if you hit the f***ing thing with 1 HP that it was gonna blow up and kill my ass?
It's a hydrogen jellyfish. Like a
Do you know what
hydrogen
hydrogen
bomb.
does?
I don't know what hydrogen is. You think I got brain cells?
Well, I would assume.
Have you ever
so.
heard of
You're
a
an HVAC.
hydrogen bomb?
Really reactive gas is what it is.
So eventually, after getting myself kicked off of my friend's property because I discovered that you could claim land and claimed his house.
No, you don't want industrial revolution in front of your house?
No thanks.
So we just... Ah, there we go.
What are you up to?
Perfect. Perfect. Hey, if you kill me, I'll die.
I know.
Hey, if you kill me, I'll die. How am I still taking damage? What the f?
Burn effect.
Bro, why'd you kill him, Noah?
He claimed my f***ing life.
Is there a limit to claim? Can you just claim, like, a whole land?
I don't know. I didn't think we were claiming.
Wait, we can actually claim stuff?
Yes, he f***ing claimed my shit. That's why I'm killing him.
Well,
Claim
killing
a
him isn't
lot.
gonna solve that.
No, but I can make his life miserable.
You know how I can make yours
It's still not gonna
miserable,
solve
Noah?
that.
So what? I need to move where?
I don't know.
I flew off on my dragon and found a place to lodge myself. Right next to Aiden. What, did you expect me to find my own place?
Dragon, can you kill that skeleton? Wait, what the f? It's a wolf and he's colored. Holy shit. I need these bones from these motherfuckers immediately. Oh, these are... I got a cute. He's so cute too. Come here.
Got a cute, he's so fucking cute too.
Oh, you're so fucking cute. I'm going to cherish you, and if you ever die, I will burn everyone else's house down.
I deleted this pillager tower from existence with the plan of putting the factory right over top of its corpse, only to discover that the pillagers do not stop spawning even after the structure is destroyed. So I bailed on that and built next to it instead. Worst mistake of my life. It was here that I decided I would settle down and start the groundwork for my factory. This was about the point my friends decided that Minecraft wasn't the best thing they could do and only logged on occasionally. So I decided that it was best for my computer's storage that I stopped recording everything that happened. And since my friends stopped coming on, you'd think that would mean that I would stop. Right? Right? Long story short, I committed hardcore to modern industrialization, one of the specific tech mods in Prominence, which I did not realize at the time, but that ended up being a huge mistake. You see, modern industrialization is one of the most complex tech mods in the pack, requiring crafting recipes upon crafting recipes upon crafting recipes of materials just to make one thing. Not even considering how many resources everything took. Eventually, I did start to get the hang of it. I made production, and the factory really started looking like something special. But of course, everything started to get slowly and slowly more complicated. Constantly changing over machines, electric instead of steam, constantly having to craft things because I didn't understand how an assembler worked, all building up to the point where I basically slammed into a brick wall, basically telling me that I needed to automate literally everything, so I did. It was about this point that I realized that nearly a month and a half had went by and I was still playing Modern Industrialization. No uploads, no updates, no help wanted to, no nothing. I had been so committed to the grind that I didn't realize how much time had actually passed since I uploaded a video. It was at this point that I decided I should never play World of Warcraft and decided to make a video on our Minecraft server. And so here we are today, making up for the past 2 months. I'm an idiot. And welcome to the Minecraft server. It's got everything. Nice looking houses, cool creatures, satisfying beach noises, cool structures, sky islands, weird ass portals, a nuclear reactor, this huge ass town, castles featuring Big Chungus, and let's not forget Purple Guy, and whatever the hell this thing is. Squidward in literal space. What'd you think I was joking? And of course, most importantly of all, a space station. Pretty cool, right? So what do I have? This. As you can see, despite my determination to keep playing on the server, my friends' houses all lay in a state of dormancy. Well, mostly. Aiden has been logging on again, and together we constructed a space station. But for the most part, it's just been me, living in this damn factory, making a pointless production line for the past 2 months. For as many hours as I put into this server, you'd think I'd have more, but no. This mod pack is just too complex for me. I mean, I know this all looks like something, but it's pathetic in my eyes. Like, look at this stupid thing. Damn thing can't even keep up with itself. Oh yeah, and let's not forget about the constant pillager infestation that I have. Real fun how I have to give myself bad omen every time that I kill one of those guys. That's real cool. I mean, these guys are basically a plague to my base, and they do nothing but spawn non-stop. Ugh. They're like literally a plague. So yeah, my base is basically really just nothing special, which is constantly overrun by pillagers. Literally constantly. I can't even get back into the base without you idiots spawning. It's awful. I mean, we got this cute little bastard, but he does not make up for the pillagers. Well, regardless of the half-baked state that this place is in, considering I haven't even finished modern industrialization, let's just get this damn tour started. We'll start on the top floor. Starting at the top floor, we have the old base, which is still around, because I just don't have the heart to get rid of it. Over here we have the ethanol plant. It turns sugar solution into ethanol, which then turns ethanol into ethylene. Does it really have to rain and thunder when I'm trying to... Oh my god, I'm going to murder. Shut up. Where it turns ethylene into polyethylene, which then uses polyethylene to make upgrade modules for me, except isn't doing that for me anymore because, well, because Right here we have the glass furnace. This thing makes glass for me. It's connected over here to the centrifuge. And yeah, the centrifuge is from Tech Reborn, not modern industrialization. It's literally like the only way to make clay, and I need clay. This here is the old manual section, which I quite honestly barely use anymore. This is the drill input spot. As you can see, I've got a few drills. This here is the Roxanne flag. This is my lubricant making station. Here's my coke furnaces that make coke. Here's my centrifuges that make carbon. Here's the oil drilling rig that I refuse to set up. This over here is my gold barrel storage, because for some ungodly reason you cannot break these things. And even if you do break this thing, it doesn't give you a gold barrel back. This is my vacuum freezer. This is my stainless steel blast furnace, which turns stainless steel dust into stainless steel hot ingots. This is my assembly line that makes stainless steel dust for me. Yes, I'm not joking. This entire line right here of machines is entirely made just for giving me stainless steel dust. All of these things at the bottom, these things are practically byproducts to me. Right behind the stainless steel dust maker is the electrolyzers, which make aluminum dust for me, among other non-helpful things. This here is my silicon dust producer. These are my 4 bronze boilers that output about 4,000 steam per tick, and yet somehow they still underperform. Aluminum blast furnace, steel blast furnace. Here's my drills. They work incredibly fast and give me a lot of damn resources. And I have 2 of them. This thing should not exist anymore. This is my other electric quarry, which makes the rarer resources, for example, diamonds. Over here is where all that advanced ore gets processed, and over here is where all that lame ore gets processed. Pretty minor stuff, and this thing literally has to have 2 sides, otherwise one of these would not keep up. This is where I make bronze, electrum, and battery alloy. These 2 are where I cut my rods. This is my plate manufacturing, which is a little bit backed up. This is my god-awful storage system. This whole thing is my rubber making assembly. This is my wire mill. That thing over there makes soldering alloy. And this here is the assembly line for all the things that require soldering alloy. And this right here is where I make all of the components that I need, where no matter what you do, you never have enough of anything. And that's basically my entire factory. Oh right, I forgot about you. Yeah, this is my sugarcane farm. It can also be used as a maze. Other than that, all of these things are just some pointless things that I have in place. But yeah, that's the entire base. Oh yeah! I bet you all are wondering why I have a task manager skin on instead of the obvious choice. And to that I have to say, I don't have a clue. Oh yeah, and you see this cool helmet that I'm wearing? It does something really funny. If I say something in chat, it basically makes it comedy gold. No matter what I say, it turns all of my words into uwu language. Pretty neat, right? But yeah, it has like 3 different styles that it chooses from. And aptly enough, I get the shouty one all the time. My favorite is the stutter though. Yep. It's pretty depressing here. At least I can see Aiden's epic castle from my factory. It's better than staring at Dexter's lab 24/7. Yes, this server is the reason you all have been seeing silence on the Hex channel. Why comments go unread and uploads are stale. And that's why this video exists. This is me saying to myself, well, shit, man. I gotta make something out of this Minecraft server. Might as well make a video out of it. But of course, I can't just make a video of me rambling about my factory all day, or explaining where I've been, otherwise this video would have no substance to it. There has to be something. Well, there certainly is. I'm going to give you all a gift. A gift so amazing that you can't return it. That's right, I'm going to be doing a halfway progression guidebook on modern industrialization. You're welcome. And like I said, you can't return it. Mine for a lot of ores. Get more copper and tin. Start smelting. Make a forge hammer. It sure is. Make this book. Read the pages and immediately get overwhelmed. Make 20 iron sheets. Make 4 large iron plates. Make an iron hammer. This will allow you to get a lot better rates for your hardware. Turn all that copper and tin into dust. Use the dust to make bronze dust. Cook said bronze dust. Make a shitload of plates. Make a load of pins. Realize you're gonna be chewing through hammers. Make another hammer. Use the hammer to make iron sheets. Make another hammer. You're gonna be using a lot of these. Make some bronze rings. Make some bronze rods. Make some curved plates. Learn the recipe for a bronze gear. Find clay. Get a lot of said clay. Use clay to get brick. Use brick to get brick dust. Make sure to not cook all your clay. You need it in the recipe for fire clay dust. Turn fire clay dust into fire clay brick. Make fire clay bricks. Make a bronze tank. Make a bronze boiler. Congratulations, you've done it. You're in hell now. Begin warming up the boiler. Realize you need water. Realize you need a water pump. Make copper curved plates. Make another hammer. Make copper rod. Make copper blades. Make copper rotors. Make fluid pipe. Make bronze machine casing. Are you starting to see how many resources this takes? Finally, make the water pump. Put a bunch of water inside of your boiler to make steam. This process will take a lot of doing. Use the newly acquired steam on the water pump. Right-click your pipe and configure it so that it's extracting only. And you gotta do the same thing for the water pump. You now have infinite steam. Now I hope you're paying attention during the process of making gears and rotors, because now you gotta make all these.
You having fun yet?
Compressor, cutting machine, furnace, macerator, mixer. You're gonna wanna make all of these. The macerator macerates ores. This might seem like a useless process, but it actually gives you 3 times the ore production for your ores. And if you want even more than that, you put it back in and get dust, and it gives you 2. Sometimes. Take the dust and smelt it. Now with the compressor, obviously you can make plates out of it. You put a plate back into the compressor and get curved plates. We cannot use the cutting machine yet. The mixer gives you a better ratio for bronze dust. Instead of 4 for 3, now it's 4 for 4, which is good because if it isn't obvious, you're going to be using a lot of bronze. Also, something I completely neglected to mention is the steam mining drill. The steam mining drill is a very helpful tool. It seems a little expensive, but I promise it's worth it. This is how you make the drill head in case you're curious. All you need to use it is a water bucket anywhere in your inventory. The drill will automatically load the water inside, and then you just charge it with coal by right-clicking. The reason you want the drill is because it has silk touch. This may not seem like much, but remember, maceration. 8 copper per ore. Now that you have this system running, I'm going to explain something very important. Multi-blocks. Oh yeah, you're gonna need more clay. Make a coke oven. Something you're also gonna want to do is make a wrench. When you place down the center of the multi-block, the wrench will allow you to see what materials you're exactly missing. It also lets you see exactly the configuration you need to have it in. This is where things get a little complicated. As you can see, the multi-block is very stupid. It has nowhere where you can put in anything. So how are you supposed to use it? You're gonna want all of these materials right here. Simply craft 2 fluid inputs and an item input. When you hold any input hatch next to a multi-block, it will show you the correct positions that you can have it in. When you put in a fluid hatch correctly, it'll change to the block type. Item in, fluid out, fluid in. Now the fluid in is very obviously steam, and the fluid out is something we'll get to in a second. And when I said you needed 3 hatches, that was a complete and utter lie. I forgot you actually needed 4. You can make a bronze barrel by doing this. A normal chest can hold 27 stacks of items, and a bronze barrel can do 32. So this thing's kind of unnecessary. God knows you need that bronze for literally anything besides that thing. Now all you do with the coke furnace, throw in some coal or coal dust, and it'll make coke for you. With coke, we've unlocked a new resource. If you combine coke and iron dust, you'll get uncooked steel dust. Obviously, we have to cook it first. The steam blast furnace is now your friend. And remember when I said you needed a lot of clay? Yeah, I wasn't kidding about that one. 32 fire clay bricks, combined with the 8 that you need for this one. You're gonna be using a lot of fire clay bricks. The assembly for the steam blast furnace is relatively simple. Now repeat the same process you just did with the coke furnace, except minus the fluid output hatch. We're actually gonna circle back to this thing now. You might notice that this thing is now full of something called creosote. Combining redstone dust and creosote makes lubricant, which allows us to finally utilize the cutting machine. This finally allows us to automate the production of rods, pins by putting rods back into the machine, and it also allows us to make rings by using rods inside of a compressor. This allows us to do everything the forge hammer was having us do, except a lot cheaper, meaning you can finally throw away all those stupid hammers that I told you to craft. This right here is a very basic basic way to automate lubricant production. Creosote goes in, redstone goes in, lubricant comes out. Now, after all of that dawdling, you should have quite a bit of coke built up. Use that with your iron dust and make more uncooked steel. Get your steam and input set up, put in the steel dust, and watch it work. In a matter of seconds, you'll finally have steel to work with. Now this is about the point where you realize this is gonna take a while. You wanna get a nice stack of iron dust, hopper in your coke dust and your iron dust, let it work its magic, get yourself a nice supply of uncooked steel dust, leave yourself idle, and let the machine do its magic. Alright, it's been 30 minutes. Let's see what we got. Clearly, this is a very slow process. Now, the obvious thing to do would be to just make 7 more of these things, which would be 7 times the steel. However, I wouldn't advise it. In fact, making twice of any of these machines, in my opinion, would be a waste. With steel, you can make something called a steel upgrade, using components I'm sure you've seen before, and using these steel upgrades, simply just put them in a crafting table. Now we have ourselves a steel furnace. Repeat the process a couple of times, and now they work twice as efficiently. This efficiency does come at a price. As you can see, our bronze boiler is currently plumb out of steam. This is because steel units use twice as much steam. Something I like to have as a visual component was having a tank that fed all of my machines. This would notify me if the machines were underperforming on their capacities. Also, I really liked watching it fill. God, that's so satisfying. But the bottom line is, we need steam. However, you can make a steel boiler. Now, I would advise using this method to make a steel boiler, but if you find yourself with a lot of spare steel and not so much bronze, you can also do this method. The bottom line is, you need a steel boiler. And it probably won't be long until your systems are running full cylinder ahead once more. Maybe. As you can see, despite the boiler running at maximum capacity, we're still behind on steam. This is when it's time to start paying attention to energy consumption of your machines. The steam boiler can essentially produce 16 steam per tick. So this boiler is sufficient to power 4 of these machines simultaneously. Keeping in mind that the steel blast furnace and the coke oven are both using that power as well. Which means that if every single one of our machines is running, we have a demand for 26 steam. Now if the steel boiler can only produce 16 per tick, we have an issue. That issue can either be solved by not running one of your machines and only running the essentials, which would be 3 of these at a time, or it would mean adding another steel boiler to the circuit, which also brings up the fact that your water pump is going to eventually start to underperform. So don't neglect to upgrade that as well. Now, 2 machines I want to briefly touch on are the steel packer and the steel unpacker. They're not too complicated to make. Now, the packer has a variety of uses, but for the most part, this thing's really only useful in the assembly line. Same goes for its counterpart, the steel unpacker. However, the unpacker does have some helpful features, such as the ability to get back your steel upgrades from your bronze counterparts. You can also use it in case you made too many hatches. It does have a lot of uses later on when you eventually start relegating machines. Something else I want to briefly touch on is the lock editing. With lock editing, it allows you to lock various things in specific slots, so then it doesn't end up making the wrong thing or clog itself up by putting in too much iron dust. By putting a lock like this, it will ensure that you never, ever have iron go into what's supposed to be the designated coke slot. Now with the introduction of steel, we can finally start to make item pipes. Item pipes are incredibly handy if you know how to use them. All you have to do is make sure that your inputs are set correctly. For example, I want this item pipe to take this coke and put it into this barrel. If I right click on this segment of the item pipe, it opens up a helpful menu for me. If you don't want this thing to have a filter, all you need to do is enable blacklist mode and set it to extract, and do the same for the item pipe down here. And now our coke is entering this barrel. If you want to get really specific about it, like I am, all you gotta do is put coke dust in the filter for both sides, and now your coke dust will automatically transfer into this barrel. What item pipes also allow you to do is to replace all those gross hoppers that you have set them up correctly, and now you no longer need hoppers. You can remove unwanted connections by right-clicking. However, if I wanted to have 2 item pipes going to this location, station at once, you cannot have the same colored item pipe going into the same port. However, item pipes have the capability of being dyed. This will allow us to place item pipes on the same plane. Something I also want to highlight is this. If I was to break this blue item pipe, it also removes any pipes that were in the subsequent area. However, let's say I didn't want to do that. With the wrench, if you shift right click on a pipe, it will automatically break. That was a helpful feature that I learned about way later than I should have. And with a little bit of item pipes, we can make this system fully automated. I was able to automate my steel making services. All it does is take coke from the furnace, put it in the mixer, take iron from this barrel here, mix it all together, put the uncooked steel dust into here, take the uncooked steel dust and put it into the furnace, and voila. Steel. Now, something of note, you're gonna want a lot of steel, especially for this next part, because there's something you can make with steel that is incredibly handy. The steam quarry. The steam quarry is an incredibly helpful machine that eliminates the use of mining. However, the recipe to make it is a little expensive. This is just the recipe for the head. Counting all the steel large plates and gears, it requires 42 steel just to make the head for this thing. And also, you're gonna have to dip your toes into Invar. I'm sure you all know how to make dust at this point. Nickel and iron together makes Invar. And you'll be scraping together a lot of steel just to make the quarry. But I assure you, this thing is worth it. It requires a lot of steel casing. You may also notice this special block here, which is pretty easy to craft, but you're gonna need a lot of steel. A lot of steel. But trust me, it's worth it. Here we have it fully constructed here, and of course we have to put in the hatches now. And this part's really important. This one actually took me a while to figure out, but apparently the steam quarry requires a fluid input hatch. Basically saying you cannot use bronze on this thing. The only thing you need to do now is hook it up and watch the magic happen. Just kidding. The machine has an item input hatch, so you obviously need to put something in it. The name of the game is bronze drills, baby. Hope you didn't turn all your iron into steel, because you're gonna need a lot of these things. And the drill heads are not exactly cheap either. Simply fill it with drills, and now watch the magic happen. Infinite resources. This is about the point you might want to set up some sort of automated ore processing center. It'll just save you a lot of trouble in the long run. And look at that. We're already starting to produce resources. And of course we can take this a step further by adding in what I like to call a central line. Now a central line is very important and vital, mainly because the central line is going to be doing a lot of item moving. So you'll probably want to make this one unique from all other pipe colors that you're using. What you can do with a central line is that you can add on additional things to it, which is going to feed a variety of machines. I want my iron dust to go into here to automate my steel production. I want my coal dust to go into here to ensure I have a steady supply of coal constantly going into the coke furnace. I also wanted to use the redstone to feed my lubrication line. With a system like this, it's very important to use the filter. That way, the materials that need to go into a specific place all go into that designated specific place. It's also about that point where you should start setting up storage systems, and the best way to do that is using the pipe's secondary function, in and out. This allows a product to travel both ways. For example, as you can see, it is currently sucking all the coke dust out of this storage unit here and bringing it to my mixer. However, if for some reason the mixer is full, the coke traveling down this pipe cannot go that way, so instead, it goes right into storage. Using the in-out function, it allows us to have a whole storage system set up with all the various dusts that we're going to use. Now, for most of them, obviously they're not in use. However, every single one of these resources has a purpose later on. Ligma has no purpose. Ligma has the purposes to fuel your boiler. That's what Ligma does. So setting up something like this isn't the worst idea. I highly recommend using Ligma inside of the boiler instead of coke. This stuff is literally useless. Something else I wanted to briefly mention. If you ever find yourself with a surplus of coal, you can actually use 16 blocks of coal in a steel compressor for a diamond. It's a 300-second process, but if you find yourself just overwhelmed with coal, I highly recommend doing this. And that's pretty much the conclusion of the Steam era. A lot of simply made assembly lines, and a very simple way to store your stuff, along with a station that allows you to do stuff by hand. You also may have more boilers at this point, which is completely understandable, but just keep in mind that we're going to be upgrading these boilers soon enough, so don't make too many of them. And now we move into the electric era. The first thing you're going to need to embark on the journey is the steel wire mill. This will allow you to turn copper plates into copper wire, and copper wire has a lot of uses. But before we go too copper crazy, you also need to do the same thing with tin. Tin wire will allow you to make tin cables, which now brings us to rubber. Rubber is kind of a pain in the ass recipe to make. Like a huge pain in the ass. In order to make rubber sheet, you need synthetic rubber. In order to make synthetic rubber, you need synthetic oil. In order to get synthetic oil, you need raw synthetic oil. In order to get raw synthetic oil, you need coke and water. This is where pain comes in. I would highly advise automating this process isolated from your original system and putting it in a far corner of your base. I also highly encourage making another steam blast furnace just so this whole mess doesn't interrupt with the steel making process. What I'm now going to do is I'm going to make the system and then I'll explain it to you guys because this is a bitch. Hi, welcome back and look at this nightmare. So this here is the automatic rubber maker before you get to like advanced rubber makers. Basically it's got a water pump. Water plus coke equals raw synthetic oil. Raw synthetic oil gets cooked into synthetic oil. Synthetic oil comes down here, mixes with sulfur to create synthetic rubber. Synthetic rubber travels down here, comes into here. Synthetic rubber mixes with paper, makes rubber sheets. And you're gonna need a lot of rubber sheets. Oh, also I forgot to point out the macerator and the mixer, which basically make me paper, which also requires water and a lot of wood. And yeah, I do not advise making this during the steel era, at least until the point where you have electric machines. Once you get rubber sheets, you can use these with tin wire. With tin cable, you can make a lot of different recipes, a lot of different machines, just a lot. Now, the first thing you're probably going to want to do is make a lot of motors. Motors are relatively easy to make, but don't go overboard with making them, especially magnetic steel rods. There's a much cheaper way that you will get access to in just a little bit. So don't go crazy with it. Along with motors, you're also going to want to make analog circuits. And yes, this recipe is just as complicated as it looks. Allow me to break it down for you. The inductor is made with copper wire and steel rod. The resistor is made with paper, coal dust, and copper fine wire. Don't panic, you get copper fine wire from simply just putting copper wire back in the wire mill. The analog circuit board is simply a copper plate combined with 2 rubber sheets, and the capacitor is just more copper wire, a rubber sheet, and 2 gold plates. Put all those together and you get the analog circuit. You're gonna want a lot of these, considering it's used in basically most recipes from here on out, and until you can automate this process, you're gonna have to make them manually. This is basically where we start getting into automation. You're gonna need a lot of these things. This thing is basically more or less how you power the electric machines. But before you do that, you're probably going to want to make a large steel boiler. Remember these things? Yeah, you're going to need a lot of them for this, because this requirement is insane. Invar, pipe casing, hella bronze plated bricks. Now you're going to want to upgrade all of your systems. Basically, your systems are going to look something like this. Each of these turbines is powered by a steam line, which then comes out the output side into a machine. Something very important to note about these turbines, this little black square is the only place that power comes out of. If you try to get power out of the other sides, it just doesn't. It doesn't. You can move the little black box by shift right-clicking, though. You can also pointlessly move the front. Now, these machines won't stay here very long. I actually recommend you keep the steel ones here for your personal workstation. Even though it's slower, the rest of this stuff is going to be automated. It's about this point where automation is key, and you basically need to have a lot of these things. This is an assembler, and it basically crafts for you. Remember how much of a pain in the ass these analog circuits were to craft? Now you can automate it. Oh yeah, overclocking. Basically, when an electric machine is producing a lot of things quickly, it makes an overclock effect. As you can see, the overclock was times 16. Now it's nothing. Over time, as it continues to generate more and more product, the overclock will continue to rise and rise. However, when it does that, that begins to draw more power. As you can see, the max overclock is 32 ticks of power, and conveniently enough, these things can generate 32 ticks of power, which is why I emphasize the point of having 1 per unit. But essentially, it allows it to produce faster and faster and faster the more overclock it has. Anyways, back to assemblers. You're really going to want to make an assembly system to assemble these 6 different components. Mainly because those 6 are the ones that you're going to be using the most, namely motors. You're basically going to want to make an assembly line of parts. And honestly, at this point, I feel like it would be a waste to make an entire assembly line because of how many components it needs when I can just show you mine. Man, I did not miss the hell of this place. So maybe now that you've had a more in-depth explanation, you can kind of see some of those machines I was talking about. As you can see, I'm still making rubber the old-fashioned way, which I know is not the most efficient means, but I am way too lazy to upgrade this system. Here you can see the paper processing mill that doesn't have any wood in it because I need to go chop down more forests. But if we jump over here, we can kind of see what we got going on here. Here's what was essentially the steam drill bringing in ores. It macerates the ores, albeit very fast. The dust gets automatically cooked into ingots, brings it into this chest, brings it over to these two systems, which automatically makes rods for me and plates, but it also makes rings. It goes into this horrible looking storage system right here, which then gets distributed all across the board. It pulls from the wire mill, the compressor, so on and so forth, and it automatically makes analog circuits. You can also automate the production of conveyor belts, pistons, and robot arms, and tin cables, and conveyor belts are used to make upgrades for your electric machines, which are incredibly helpful for expanding the overclock, which basically means it can do products instantly. And most of the stuff you see here is for later on. The long and short of it is, anything that you see here is basically something that should be automated. This half of the assembly line is the soldering half. I have an EBF tucked behind this wall that automatically makes soldering alloy for me. I have bronze drills automated, item pipe and fluid pipe, aluminum, which is a resource you'll get later via bauxite. The long and short of it is, you're gonna wanna have an assembly line. As you can see, the blue has been my main line of choice. It's running literally throughout the entire plant. And also red. And this is basically as far as I've gotten. I'm just now starting to learn how vacuum freezers work, switching all my power over to MV instead of LV, making stainless steel via this complicated rig. And yes, this is where my life has been for the past 2 months. But that's more or less a guide of everything I've done up to this point. Obviously, I'm at the point where I need to figure out my digital circuit boards so I can make the digital circuit and unlock the distillation tower. Although if I'm being completely honest, it may be time to retire from this. I've been at this for over 2 months, and I've put off so many video projects that I think I might need to just throw the steel plates down and call it a day. And call myself a triumph over engineering. But who knows, I'll probably just be back again tomorrow plugging away again at this. Okay, bye! Why do I hear voices? I'm dead ass hearing voices. Right. So the TV just came on. Yeah, where's my EMF reader? There you are. Get in my hands. Okay. So, yeah. That just happened. I'm gonna keep my knife by me, actually. Okay. Let's continue with the review, shall we? I am now extraordinarily paranoid and terrified for my life. Wait a minute. Their TV comes on at 7:55 and shuts off at 9:55 on Sundays? Why? They have their TV program to come on? And how have I never noticed this? Seriously, how have I never noticed this happen? How have I never once in my life noticed that is a thing that occurs? I don't know. I do not know.